Hey guys, welcome to the Eternal Quest Tarot. So I'm attempting to do something absolutely different today, something that I've not done on this channel before, which is doing a yes or no reading with the tarot. Now, I have watched quite a few readings on this topic by different tarot readers, and there is one format of the reading, or one format of actually like getting the yes or no answer that I felt was quite simple, and that resonated with me. So that is the one that I'm going to follow. What is going to happen with each of these piles is I'm going to draw 5 cards from the Waite tarot deck, and I painstakingly went through the process of dividing the deck in half, and half of the deck is reversed and half of it is upright, so which gives us a 50-50 chance. So those 5 cards we are going to read as either a yes or a no, depending on the number of upright cards. So if you have majority that are upright, then it's a yes, and majority that are reversed, that's a no. But since the tarot is an excellent tool for getting deeper insight into anything that we might be reading for, I'm going to add a couple of different aspects to the reading, or facets to this reading. First is to actually look at the cards that have come up and to see what is going on in the situation. Now, I have no idea and I have no way of knowing unless you tell me in the comments below of like what was the context that was on your mind when you were watching this reading, or when you were like making the pile selection. So there's no way that I would know whether you were asking for a relationship, or whether it was like a career, work related question, or if it was like a third context that I might as I said, there's no way that I can be aware of that. So I'm going to do the interpretations for each of the cards in those contexts. So one would be like, let's say, if you're asking the question for your relationship or a connection with someone else, then this is what the cards would mean. And if it was a career question, then this is what it means. Or, you know, like I said, the third unknown area of your life, and also look at, you know, what the cards would mean in a general context. I'm also going to look at the advice in the cards. So let's say whatever answer comes up, whether it's a yes or no, if it's something that you did not want to hear and you wanted to change the outcome, which is very much possible, and I personally believe as a tarot reader that the tarot is an excellent tool that allows us to kind of recalibrate our own energy so that it is more aligned to the outcome that we want to create, that we want to bring forth. So I'm going to look at those 5 cards as what's the basic like general advice that you should be mindful of, that you should follow, which will help you recalibrate your own energy and to align to the outcome that you want, or flip the question from a yes to a no, or no to a yes, or you know what I mean, something that you would love to hear at this point of time. So thank you so much for watching that intro. If you stayed through it, it will just make the process of going through the reading much easier, and sorry, like for you to understand like what's happening in the reading a much more easier. So let's get started with the pile selection. I have 5 piles for you to choose from. The first one is this black and white crystal disc with the World card. The second pile is this blue crystal disc, and yeah, obviously I've forgotten the names of the crystals, with the Temperance card. The third pile, sorry, is this beige crystal disc with blue and orange waning with the Chariot card. The fourth pile is the orange calcite, I remember the name of this one, the orange calcite crystal disc with the Hanged Man. And the fifth pile is the clear quartz crystal disc with the Hierophant. In case you're curious, all these cards are from the Tarot deck, which is a majors only tarot deck. So yeah, pause the video if you need some more time. All the timestamps to these readings are in the description box or pinned to the comment section below. So yeah, I'll see you at your reading. Take care. Hi Pile 1, so if you chose the black and gray or black and white crystal disc along with this world card, this is your reading. Welcome. So as I said, the first part will be, as I said, in the intro portion, which if you haven't watched it, that is okay. So for the first part, we are going to look at just the number of upright cards in a 5-card spread, and if the majority of them are upright, then it's a yes, and if not, that's a no. So you have the upright Queen of Swords, the reversed Page of Wands, oops, the reversed Wheel of Fortune, the upright Six of Wands, so 50-50 at this point, and the reversed Hierophant. So we have just 2 upright cards and the rest of them are reversed. So at this point, this is looking like a no, okay? But as I said in the intro portion, we are also going to go a couple of layers deep. So I'm going to talk about the actual meaning of the cards and what they mean in 3 different contexts. One is, like, let's say this question was related to a relationship or a connection to someone else. What would this mean? Then if you were asking about a career question, what this would mean, and then a third, kind of like general context. And I'm also going to look at what advice we have for you within these cards or within this card spread, and what can you be mindful of, or what should you do in order to recalibrate your energy in order to flip this question maybe into a yes, if that is what you wanted to hear. So if you want to stay for this part of the reading, you're more than welcome, but just for the yes and no portion, this is looking as a no at this point of time, okay? So if you are asking about a relationship, first of all, I'm going to start with the central card, which is the reversed Wheel of Fortune. And typically what this means is, the timing of something not being right, the timing being off, okay? So this could mean that maybe you or the person you're asking about, or maybe both of you, are at a point of time in life where a manifestation of this relationship would not be beneficial for, your individual like soul journeys or your paths where you are on, or, like you might not be able to make this relationship work, definitely not for the long term. The other major arcana card which is reversed is the Hierophant. So it could mean, because I'm looking at the Queen of Swords, and in the tarot court cards, the Queen of Swords is typically like a wounded energy. So this could be talking about you or your person coming from a past where there is still like a lot of pain which is influencing, the ability to form this new connection. They could also be like dealing with divorce, or maybe you are going through divorce, separation, legal matters, or like legal issues that are not yet resolved. And that are influencing the situation, okay? It could also mean that, a long-term commitment was never on your person's mind. And I'm looking at the reverse Page of Wands and the Six of Wands. Now, Six of Wands can sometimes talk about like ego, so egotistical motivations being more of the driving force rather than like the spiritual aspects or the spiritual sides of ourselves. So maybe they got into this connection or this relationship from a, as a way of making themselves like feel better, or maybe they thought that, you know, being with you makes them look good. And I'm also looking at the card that you selected, which is the World card. So it could be talking about an ending of the connection, ending of the relationship, and, you know, like two people like really having this sort of an energetic wall between them. So there's like separation of some sort between the two of you. So it could be talking about a relationship, or you could be asking about a relationship. I feel like that has ended at this point of time. But also, like, if we take these two court cards to represent like the people in this connection, okay? This is a very big mismatch of like in terms of like maturity and the level of intelligence almost, and think emotional intelligence, not like in general, like I'm not talking about IQ scores, but I'm talking about like the ability to mentally think about something or process something in a more refined, more mature sort of a way, to understand the like depth of emotions, or understand the complexity levels. There seems to be a mismatch between the two people, between the two of you. And the Page of Wands, if this represents their energy, then in its reverse form, the Page of Wands can talk about someone that is not really that much invested into, you know, whatever we are asking about. And in this case, you know, of course, it means the relationship. So maybe your person was just kind of like exploring their options, or like dabbling into something, like I said, in order to either make them feel good, or like a momentary respite from the miseries of life, as they say. So this might be something that they did not approach from a like long-term commitment kind of way. So and again, like one of the issues being like the timing not being right, not for you, not for them, is what I'm getting mostly, like intuitively, but definitely not for them. Like at this point of time, they have other things to do, they have other goals to chase, and I feel like this person really needs something more substantial to make them feel like they have stepped into a real sense of power, to be able to like take their own decisions, and, you know, from that place then form long-term relationships, if that makes sense. Like this person is standing on shaky grounds almost, it feels like the victories and the kind of highs that they are chasing at this point of time, there's not a lot of substance to it, okay? So now, if you're asking this for a career, or for like finances, or a job, or something else that you were aiming for, again, the central issue that seems to be here is that of timing. The timing not being right. But there is another sort of like aspect to this that I'm going to add, if the question is in the career context, which is understanding that, you know, the wheel is going to turn. Maybe right now the situation is not favorable, or like the environment that you're in is not supportive, or, you know, the factors that contribute to you manifesting this goal are again not conducive to creating that environment, or that manifesting your aim at this point of time. But I want to say, like, things are going to turn, and the situation is going to look a lot better, okay? In the career and finances sense, like this seems to be like experiencing like a lot of like roadblocks to whatever it is that you were wanting to manifest. The reverse Hierophant is also making me think like maybe if this question was about, you know, your schooling and applying to different universities, colleges, then at this point of time, like Spirit is showing us that you might receive a rejection. But again, I want to come back to the reverse Wheel of Fortune, which kind of is showing us that this is not going to stay the same, and in the sense that you're still gonna find success. It might just be in, or the answer might lie in sort of like rethinking your plans, or keeping a different sort of, or like adopting a different approach to things. And I say that because of the Queen of Swords, and also the reverse Wheel of Fortune, and also the reverse Page of Wands. So together, these three cards are representative of, someone who needs to rethink a lot of their own thoughts. Okay, it might be possible that this reverse Wheel of Fortune is talking about you being stuck in sort of like a negative headspace. Okay, because the reverse Wheel of Fortune can talk about that. You might be stuck in like a victim sort of a mentality. You might be approaching things from that kind of like a energy standpoint or energetic stance, which, believe it or not, will make you more susceptible to creating the same things over and over again. Okay, so with the Queen of Swords, this being the suit of air, which is to do with our thoughts, and also to do with our words, there's a need to rethink the plans that you have made, okay, and maybe take a different approach. In general, like even if this is not like, like a relationship or a career context, that's the main advice that is coming through, which is, rethink how you are mentally processing this thing that you're thinking about as you're asking this question, whatever it might be. With the reverse Page of Wands, the advice that comes up in the general sense is to be more committed, more invested, pay more attention to details that you might have missed in the past, or in this circumstance, or right now. Maybe bringing your attention more to details will help you see things more clearly. Also, with the Queen of Swords, it's also a card of speech, not just about like our thoughts, and the general advice is to be mindful of the things that we say, because our thoughts and our words can contribute to the energy around us, and it really does affect our manifestations, if you can believe that or not. So being very careful about like your thoughts and your words, and noticing more of the emotions within you that you might be harboring or feeling stuck on, and letting them go. Okay, so like I said, in the general context, the Hierophant can also talk about rigidity. So you might be getting too hung up on like rules. Okay, so an out-of-box thinking approach is needed here, where that's where you might find solutions. So forget tradition, forget like traditionally what is thought of as right or wrong, and maybe like think outside the box. With the Six of Wands, be very mindful that whatever you're pursuing, whatever you're wanting to bring in to your life, that the overarching motivation for that comes from a spiritual place rather than an egotistical place, or like say for example, like wanting to just be better as compared to somebody else, or showing up as the winner because it like makes you feel so much better about yourself and your life. Like if you find yourself, and it's okay, like from time to time we all get stuck in those lower vibratory emotions, but if you are catching yourself in the moment, and you do honestly like identify that as being the motivating emotion, then maybe it's time to like step away from that and recalibrate to a more balanced spiritual approach to things. That's the general advice as well. But in general, this is about timing being off, and just keeping a little bit of patience in a time where it feels like really challenging to do so is really something that is going to teach you a lot of like important lessons and give you a lot of insight into your own self. So don't discard this as a just a failure, and don't view this as like in that limited a box of like something being a failure and things not working out, and it just meaning like a lot of sadness or disappointment or whatnot. Usually these opportunities are great opportunities to learn and to spiritually grow. Like by not doing that with the reverse Hierophant, you might even be blocking your own spiritual progress here. So yeah, just being mindful of the things that Spirit is showing us in these cards. It might be possible for you to recalibrate your energy and to turn this into something much more bigger and better than what you first thought, actually. Okay, so yeah, that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you picked this pile and if this reading resonated with you. Sincerely hope that this was helpful. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi pile 2. So if you chose the blue crystal disc along with the Temperance card, this is your reading. So as I mentioned in the intro portion, we are going to draw 5 cards and we are going to look at the number of uprights in the 5 card spread, and if the majority of them are upright, then it's a yes, and if the majority is reversed, then it's a no. So for you guys, I have the reversed 2 of Cups, the reversed Ace of Wands, the reversed Page of Wands, the reversed 10 of Swords. Okay, so this is already looking like a no, of course, and we have the upright 3 of Wands. Okay, so let's talk about this. So as I said, I'm going to be interpreting these cards from like a romantic or, love connection, in the area of romance and love type of question that you might have had on your mind as you watch the reading, or maybe in the career and business or like financial aspects of life, that kind of context. And the third one being a general context, which is not related to either those 2 areas of love and romance that you might have asked this question about. But let me start from a general point of view. Even though like the majority of the cards are reversed, it still like is a very hopeful spread. Like that's the feeling that I'm getting. And I'm saying that because first of all, I feel like this is asking about like maybe a possibility of either a relationship, which might be a romantic relationship, or maybe a business one. Okay, so both those contexts are looking like they might be applicable. That's kind of looks like it started off great, but then you guys encountered like a lot of problems, or maybe you discovered that you had not like thought things through as much as you should have in the beginning. Okay, so there's some sort of like a connection with the other person, like I said, either a romantic one or either like a working relationship or a business relationship that is not going as it seems to or was expected by both of you, or definitely by you. And the Ace of Wands in the reverse. Now with this image, it's often talked about as it mimicking like a thumbs down. So at least for now, this is a no. But since this is still an Ace of Wands, still an ace card, what this tells me is that a new beginning is on the horizon. So it's almost like one door shuts and another one opens kind of a situation with the Ace of Wands. If this is talking about like a romantic connection, it could also be about like sexual incompatibility with your partner, or just like the attraction, the passion, like fizzling out of this connection, and that causing problems between the 2 of you. But if this is about a relationship, then the Page of Wands energy, which also came up for the first reading, pile 1's reading, without spoiling it too much. But Page of Wands typically represents, a lack of sincere interest, like the investment of energy is not that great, and it's not that sincere, and it's not done from the perspective of creating something long term. It's just someone, or it represents someone that is just kind of like dipping their toes into something that they were sort of trying out, or like just wanting to experience or something like that. It's just like it's very flighty kind of an energy, in the sense that once the moment of interest is lost, or the spark of interest, sorry, not the moment, the spark of interest is lost, the passion is lost, this type of a person would exit and leave the situation. And I feel like with the reverse 10 of Swords and the 3 of Wands in the upright, I feel like at least for most of you, if not all of you, there is a sense of like realization that things are over, okay? And you might be going through a phase where you are in the process of like releasing this relationship or energy, and just focusing on your own recovery. And I feel like the path to recovery looks really good in terms of like you being able to optimistically look into the future and make newer plans. I also feel like, coming out of this, like letting go of this relationship, this connection, or whatever like bad thing that happened, or things not working out, letting go of that energy, you're going to come to a realization that you're actually much better off than what you thought or what you're thinking right now, like if that makes sense. Like you're much better off in your own life and in your own energy, and you'll find a sense of stability, because that kind of a stability is important if you want to make like plans into the future. So you will be able to reach a position where it really makes you feel hopeful about the future, and like really make some plans according to where you want to go, like hold a new vision. Because like I said, the Ace of Wands, even though it's in a reverse position, it still is quite a hopeful card, and quite a message of like new opportunities opening up. Okay, so even if you're asking this question for, let's say, your career, then right now the message is that maybe this opportunity is not really right for you, and maybe that is why things are not working out. Like in a way, Spirit is protecting you by not making this association be as fruitful as you imagined it to be. And it's literally like, this is a temporary pause, and a new opportunity is going to come along. Like even if this is reversed for this question, for this particular job or whatever you are asking for in your career, maybe this is a no, but it's literally one door closing and another one like opening up. Okay, the word of caution here is to really pay attention to details. Like you need to invest a little bit more time, a little bit more energy into whatever it is that you are exploring, and maybe this will give you more clarity and help you like rethink the plan or the path that you were progressing on. Like something like there needs to be like more attention needs to be paid to this thing that you're asking to manifest into your life. Okay, and if you are in a process of like getting over this failure that you might have experienced, or as we are seeing, like you might experience, know that again with these two cards, they are very hopeful. You will not only like fully recover, but you will find yourself in a place where you will absolutely have the ability to dream even bigger, and make plans about the future, like being able to hold a new vision, even though this might feel like a big loss. It's just Spirit is showing me that it's just a phase, and you're gonna like get over it fairly quickly. and again reach to this place of being able to dream something else, something bigger, something more right for you, which it doesn't seem to be at this point of time. So the general like advice, no matter what context that you're asking this question for, is first of all, the central card, like pay more attention to the thing that you're wanting to manifest and just look more into the details, and be very careful with your thought process and careful with the kind of energy that you're bringing to the table as you are navigating this process. Through that, you might discover either like you yourself don't want it, or you might discover like something else, a new approach. And no matter what the outcome is, which it's likely is like leaning more towards no, which by the way could be a good thing, like maybe no is the answer that you wanted to hear. So if that's the case, like congratulations. But oftentimes like in my mind I associated no with like something that would invoke negative feelings. So which is why I keep saying, like, even if it's a no, but maybe, no is something that you wanted to hear, but let's say you didn't want to hear a no, know that this is temporary, and this is like, it's okay that this is not working out. It's okay that you're not getting the job you want, the person you want, the relationship you want, and that you will find yourself in a place where things are going to look very bright and very hopeful, and you'll be like glad and relieved that you left this thing behind, because I feel like you are either right now or very soon will be engaged in a process of like letting things go and releasing this. Okay, so let me know in the comments below if this is the pile that you chose and if the reading resonated. I sincerely hope that this was immensely helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in my next reading. Bye. Hi pile 3, so if you chose this beige crystal with the blue and orange veining and the Chariot card, this is your reading. So just to go over the structure of the reading really quickly, in case you missed the intro or skipped it, which I understand, by the way. So for the first part, we are just going to get the straight up yes or no answer. We are going to draw 5 cards, which I've already drawn for you guys, pulled from the Waite tarot deck, and we are going to look at the number of reversed cards versus the number of upright. So if we have majority that are upright, it's going to be a yes, and if the majority are reversed, it's going to be a no. So I'm also going to, with the second part of the reading, I'm also going to look into what the cards are trying to tell us and sort of give you different interpretations based on whatever context that you might be asking the question. So I'm going to talk about, like, if you asked about a relationship or a connection to someone else, what is the potential meaning, or what are the cards trying to show us? If it is a career question, business related, finances, then how do we interpret these messages? And I'm also going to look at the same 5 cards that come up to look at the layer of potential advice for you in this situation. So if you wanted to recalibrate your energies, which by the way, with every tarot reading, it's never like a definitive yes and or no, and if you can master your own energy, your own emotions, your own basically reactions, you can learn from the tarot cards how you can recalibrate those energies to manifest a different answer. So let's say yes comes up, but you didn't want to hear a yes. Let's say no comes up and you didn't want to hear a no. How can you change that? What can you do? What do you need to be mindful of to change the outcome? Okay, so let's get started. We have the reversed 2 of Pentacles. Oops. The reversed 4 of Swords, the reversed Sun. Okay, so 3 cards out of 5 being reversed. This is already a no. We have the High Priestess, okay. And we have the reversed 9 of Pentacles, okay. So right off the bat, as I said, we are going to keep it simple in terms of like yes and no, and just look at like number of uprights versus the number of reverse cards. So the majority 3 cards are coming up as reverse, so it's a no. But this is the kind of reading that kind of makes me feel like, you know, even though it's a no, it's sort of like not only temporary, but it is still quite positive. And as I say that, I'm looking at the reversed sun card. In its upright position, the sun is supposed to be like a really happy card that talks about a lot of like positivity coming your way, a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. But the beauty of the sun card is that even if in its reversed position, it still is a hopeful card. Like maybe the light of the sun, so to speak, is dampened or lessened somewhat, but it doesn't necessarily like mean, it can never mean like a outright negative thing. Okay. So even though it's a no right now, which maybe you wanted to hear a no, and like if that's the answer that you needed, I'm happy for you. But if no, as an answer to your question, like dampens your spirit a little bit, know that it's still not looking that bad. What I'm seeing here is like a lot of resistance from your side and the need to connect to yourself. So let's get started with like the reversed 2 of Pentacles. Okay, so even in its upright position, the reversed 2 of Pentacles can mean, you know, juggling too much, whether it's like having too much on your plate or just being too busy, maybe like trying to make sense of too much information, just like having so much to do, and like having a lot on your plate, or plates, as this pentacle is sometimes said to represent. So keeping up with a lot of tasks and just being busy in general. And if this relates to like some kind of information that you are trying to process in order to like make a decision, okay, this, by the way, it feels like, you know, some kind of decision making process, and like you not being able to do that. But I was saying, as I was saying, even in a upright position, like it can talk about that dilemma. In the reverse position, the 2 of Pentacles can talk about like just kind of being in denial, in the sense like being quite overwhelmed with everything that you have to deal with, but at the same time you are in denial and you're trying to like tell yourself that everything is going fine and that you are able to like still execute everything in a proper way and in the way that it should be done, or like you're able to like meet the challenge in an effective way, when you might be falling short of that at this point of time. And that's mainly because of like not being able to make sense of everything that is coming your way. Okay, so be it in like a relationship context or be it in a career context, this makes me feel like you are quite stuck in a place of overwhelm and not being able to like make the decision. Like especially in a relationship, this might be talking about the kind of connection in which like you are keeping things going, but there's something that feels out of balance. You know, something is not right here. It's that kind of like a feeling which is like a little bit challenging to describe, and it could of course mean like a lot of different things for a lot of people watching this reading, but it's something like something is off about this, but you're still like keeping things going, right, and unable to like find a way to move forward, being stuck. And it's interesting that you chose the Chariot card as your card of choice for your pile selection, but because the Chariot is all about forward movement, and actually the black and white horse, or the Sphinx as they are represented in this tarot deck, they are our dark and light side. So everything in our shadow versus all the like positive aspects about ourselves. And the Chariot basically talks about like everything being in balance and therefore being able to make progress because of you being in balance. So there is, of course, a lack of balance, as I see with the reverse, like Two of Pentacles. And one of the things that is coming up, especially in combination with the High Priestess, and also the reverse Four of Swords. So in its upright position, the Four of Swords is a time of rest. It's basically taking a break from everything that is going on and, like trying to regroup and reassess the situation, sort of think about like a different approach to things, maybe thinking about, thinking more deeply about things. Like this is what the card basically represents. And there's a church window in the background. So, like I said, the meditative aspect of it and the effects of coming into or stepping into this space where you allow yourself to like really think things through or feel things through. It's usually considered like a very positive, hopeful spiritual practice, and there is hope for the future. In its reverse position and looking at the other cards in the spread, I'm thinking like maybe you're denying yourself that break, okay? Either like a break from, like I said, this could be in the context of a relationship, or maybe you're asking about like your business, your career. There is a need for some time to rest on and to meditate, because I feel like you're going to get like helpful thoughts and inspiration from that phase. So if you have been avoiding it in a way, and just like keeping yourself busy and going, this is Spirit's message. Like take this reading as a sign that, it's okay, and actually it will be beneficial for you to really reassess and regroup and rethink what is going on. Like take a break, step away from everything, because first of all, the joy of doing everything as it were has really dampened with the sun being in reverse, and that is, I feel like, is the effect of the rest of the cards. But the sun in reverse, one of the things that I personally associate the reversed sun card is that sense of, toxic positivity. So it's basically denying your own feelings. Like if you have negative feelings, toxic positivity is the practice of not only like not looking at those negative feelings from, from a place of fear, as in like, sometimes we tell ourselves like if we were to think negative about something, then we would attract a negative outcome or something like that. But toxic positivity might be a place where you might be stuck in. So that's also one of the things that is coming through, and how I see the reversed sun card. So there is a need, I feel like, to acknowledge that, not only do you need to like slow down and process things and like really go to your corner and think about things and, really assess what is going on. But there is no need to like keep all the balls up in the air, so to speak, or like to tell yourself that everything is going fine when things are actually not going fine. Because there is guidance to be received here. And the High Priestess typically is talking about our own inner guidance. So your higher self, the presence of the High Priestess tells me that your higher self has been trying to speak to you, has been trying to communicate with you. Again, like everything I've said so far in this reading can be applied to both like a romantic connection or a relationship read, or it could be like for career or business or finances. But there's something in this situation that is trying to reveal itself. I'm looking at the scroll that the High Priestess is holding. That kind of like drew my attention in this card, and I feel like something is trying to like reveal itself. There is a truth that is trying to come out and present itself to you, and you have not been able to see it so far, and you're not, maybe you do know intuitively, but like you're in denial. But there is a need to really come into a place of balance. I'm also looking at the black and white pillars. Again, black and white, the contrast, I feel like is representative of our own dark and light sides, the shadow aspects of our personality versus the light aspects. And there is a need to like really look at things from a balanced perspective, which can be, you know, something that intuitively you're being guided to do right now. Okay. The reverse Knight of Pentacles also tells me that, again, it's very similar, if not exactly the same in its vibe to the other energies, whereas this is like the joy has been lessened or like sucked away. So in its upright position, the Nine of Pentacles is a high performing individual, really like living life to the fullest and taking care of things and independently doing so, and just really you know, think self-love and taking care of yourself, nourishing yourself, enjoying the good things in life. So in its reverse position, it can talk about the joy of that having lessened, or on the other hand, it can talk about like a lack of self-confidence in doing those things. You know what I mean? Like maybe a relationship, if you're asking about a relationship, is making you feel that way, and you're forgetting your self-worth, and you're forgetting how important you are in the entire dynamic. Or maybe, you know, in terms of business or career, you're finding that you are lacking confidence, the same kind of like self-confidence that you had before. And it could be it's because of the state of mind, the state of being, with these three cards as I talked about them. The state of mind may be the culprit, not so much like you or the situation. So there's a need to work on basically, you know, making this energy right from its reverse to its upright position. So, yeah, like I said, I'm sensing a lot of like exhaustion. I'm sensing like being in denial, like something you are really trying to resist something from acknowledging or like happening or like avoiding it or something, but there is a need to slow down. That's the biggest advice. And get out of like toxic positivity. Acknowledge all your feelings. Take time to meditate on them. Take time to listen to yourself and what these feelings might be trying to tell you. And you don't have to keep going if, you know, the reverse Two of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles is what you feel like. You can really take some time to take care of yourself first, and then, you know, things are going to flow and progress more smoothly. Okay? So that is all I have for you. Please let me know in the comments below if you chose this pile and if this reading was helpful, if the messages resonated. And yeah, I sincerely hoped that it helped you. Thank you so much. I will see you in my next reading. Bye. Hey Pile 4, so if you chose this orange calcite crystal along with the Hanged Man, this is your reading. So with this particular reading, just to go a little bit over the structure of the reading in case you skipped or missed the intro, we're going to start by looking at 5 different tarot cards from the Rider-Waite tarot deck, and we are going to look at the number of upright cards versus the number of reversals. So if there are more upright cards in the spread, then I'm going to take that as a yes, and more reversals would mean a no. We are also going to take a look at what's going on in this situation, and I'm going to provide you with interpretations for, you know, any kind of context that you might be asking the question within. So whether it's a relationship related question or a career, business, finance related question. And then we are going to look at the inherent advice in the spread with the cards, because like I said, a tarot card or tarot cards in general are very rich in their meaning, and just getting a yes or no answer to me seems like insufficient, and there's potential for a more in-depth reading. So anyway, let's get started. Let's look at your cards. We have the reversed Nine of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands, the Seven of Cups, the High Priestess. Okay, so we have 3 upright cards already, so this is a yes. And we have the reversed Sun card. Okay, let's take a look. So I'm going to start by talking about the central card in the spread, which is the Seven of Cups. Now, the Seven of Cups can talk about confusion, okay? This is also a card of like being triggered by a situation or something that is going on. Now, whether you are asking about a relationship or you are asking about like a career, business, finance situation, this can talk about like feeling overwhelmed, okay? And feeling extremely confused because there are so many things that are coming up within you. Cups is a suit of emotions, okay? So this means that whatever you are dealing with right now, in whichever context that you are asking this question in, there are a lot of feelings that this situation is bringing up in you, and there is a lot of confusion. By the way, this confusion could also be responsible for this Hanged Man, which is kind of like the card that you picked up for your pile selection. And the Hanged Man also talks about things being in limbo, things being stuck, and the need to see things more clearly, to change your perspective on things. But right now it can talk about just things being stuck and not moving, not going anywhere, not being able to decide, okay? So it could be because of the mental confusion, or like I said, triggered. And when I say triggered, it's basically unresolved, unhealed parts of us. And I'm saying that because I'm looking at this figure, and I know that, the blackness of this figure is because we are looking from behind. Excuse me, I just had to sneeze there. So the blackness of the figure is because we are looking from behind, and it's like a shadow being casted and the light is up front. But to me, it kind of represents like the shadow aspect within ourselves. Like that's how I'm reading it intuitively, even though it might be like stepping away from the traditional meaning of this card. But it's basically a shadow aspect being triggered by something, by a person, by a situation that we might find ourselves in. And at this point of time, it's more often than not, it's something that is very difficult to manage within ourselves and could be responsible for the feeling of overwhelm. Now, the Ten of Wands is quintessential, that card, which basically talks about like a feeling of overwhelm and therefore just not knowing what direction we are headed in. I like this rendition of the card very much, and I always kind of come back to this rendition even when I'm talking about like Ten of Wands in a different tarot deck. And I always, sort of point to this rendition in how all the wands that the person is carrying is right in front of their eyes, their face, and this makes it impossible to see like what direction they are headed in, and it's essentially that kind of a feeling like overburdened and taking on too much and not being able to see where we are going, where we are headed, and not having like a clear kind of idea with that. Okay, the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse, which is interestingly a card that came up in the previous piles reading, I think pile 3. So without spoiling that reading a lot, but this came up in the previous one as well. And the Nine of Pentacles in its upright position talks about the feeling of self-confidence, like independence, and really taking care of the various things that are going on in our life, really enjoying our time, enjoying the beautiful things in life, and just thriving, from a very like confident, independent sort of energy to this Nine of Pentacles in its upright position. And that might be somewhat lessened or dissipated. I'm sorry if you can hear train horns in the background. I literally live in a condominium right next to a train track, so I apologize for any background noises. But so the feeling of like the self-confidence that the upright position or Nine of Pentacles talks about in the upright position is somewhat dissipated. You might be not feeling as like confident within yourself as a result of like being in this situation, okay? And excuse me, and you might be like feeling a little bit less good about life in general. Like it is just a dimming of light, and that kind of coincides with the energy of the reversed sun card. Now the sun in its upright position, of course we all know it talks about like positivity and a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. But the beauty about this card is that even in its upright position, a little bit of joy is dimmed, and it's like taking a little part of it away. But overall, even in the upright position, it is a positive card. Another thing that I do associate the reversed sun card with is the whole idea of toxic positivity. So basically, of course, the more you focus on positive things, the more, wherever your attention goes, energy flows, and that in general is very much the truth. But in case of toxic positivity specifically, what tends to happen is that we become or we go quite in denial about our true feelings, our real feelings, okay? And we might just be thinking of the Ten of Wands, we might just be carrying on just for the heck of it, okay? And not really feeling our feelings at the point that they should be. So there is an element of denying our true feelings. There's an element of, not paying attention to what our intuition is trying to tell us. And the High Priestess represents that intuitive side, which we all have. And something tells me that your intuition, by the way, in this card coming up upright, is sort of like that confirmation is like a yes to whatever intuitive thoughts and feelings you might be becoming aware of in this situation. And in general, this is like, a thumbs up from spirit. Your intuition is right, and it would do you a lot of good to follow that intuition wherever it's trying to lead you. So don't ignore that if you have been ignoring it. And it's in itself, like maybe your inability, your temporary inability to focus on what is truly going on, okay, and step away from this confusion, step away from the triggered feelings and the overwhelm. That might very much be the reason why you are feeling stuck, or this, as I said, dissipation of energy. But it seems to be temporary, because like I said, with the Sun card coming up, even in the reverse position, it's still a very positive card. It tells me that, things are going to turn around, and things might start looking up. And if yes is the answer that you wanted to hear, then like I'm really happy for you, and that's great. But suppose yes is kind of like a bad news for you at this point of time, and you want to turn it around to a no, then maybe, the time is now to step up and really pay attention to your intuition, first of all, really connect with it and really listen to it. And from a place of like, what do you call it, examining your own triggers, like there's something about this which tells me like you really need to pay attention to the like various emotions that this is bringing out in you, because there is a lot to learn here. It's like when, especially from our emotional triggers more so than, you know, like everyday emotions, especially those difficult to deal with feelings, they're typically there to teach us more about life and essentially more about ourselves. Okay. But overall, I feel like the perseverance that you are showing, I'm looking at the Ten of Wands when I say these things, and if you have demonstrated like perseverance in this, you know, the context that you're asking the question with, in general, I feel like it is still pretty positive and it's going to lead you in the right direction. Okay, that just take some time to really, before you know, keep going on endlessly and without any kind of clarity of vision, take some time to connect with your intuition and get clear on that. And then, you know, things are going to flow much more smoothly. Okay. So yeah, that is all I have for you, my pile 4. Let me know if you chose this pile in the comments below, and if the reading resonated. I definitely hope that this reading helped you today. Thank you so much for being here again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi pile 5. So if you chose the clear quartz crystal along with the Hierophant, this is your reading. Welcome. So just a little bit about the structure of the read and what we are going to do here in case you skipped or missed the intro portion. I'm going to be drawing 5 cards from my Rider-Waite tarot deck, which I already have drawn here. And we are going to look at the number of upright cards versus the number of reversals that might come up in the read or in your spread. And if more cards are upright, then we are going to take that as a yes, and more reversals would mean a no. So I was just trying to keep it like simple way of discerning whether it's a yes or no with the tarot. But since the tarot is much more richer of a medium, a reading medium than that, I'm also going to look at what the cards are telling me about the situation, what you might be facing or going through. And then let's say the answer, whatever answer comes up, whether yes or no, if you do not like it, or a different answer, the opposite answer is something that would make more sense to you or like give you more peace, then we are also going to look at those same cards from the point of view of the advice that comes up in the reading, and kind of give you an idea about how to recalibrate your own energy so that what manifests in the end is going to be the outcome that you would like. So let's get started with the first portion of the read. You're starting with the 3 of Swords. Okay, so some kind of heartbreak. Then we have the 4 of Cups. I'm also going to interpret the cards, I forgot to say that, from different points of view, for example, or like different contexts. So what would the cards mean for a relationship reading, if that's the context within which you're asking the question, or maybe like for career or business or finances, or maybe it is something third. So in general, what would the cards say? Anyways, then we have the reversed 5 of Swords. Okay, then we have the upright 9 of Swords. So just based on our upright and reversals theory, this is coming up to be a yes. And we have the upright Hanged Man. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, more upright cards in the spread. They denote like this is a yes for you. But let's see what is going on here. So starting with the Three of Swords, which is kind of like the more prominent image that is like catching my attention. I would say that you're asking about something to do with the heartbreak. Could be a relationship or a partnership, or, you know, some kind of situation that has caused you some amount of heartache and pain. I also see like this situation has been or is quite stressful. With the Nine of Swords generally represents a lot of like thinking, might also be like bordering on overthinking, but there's a lot of processing going on. You might be experiencing insomnia, unable to relax, unable to rest because of the situation and how this has unfolded. So I'm sorry if you're going through that, and I'm sorry if this is something that you're experiencing, but this seems like a heart-heavy energy. So of course in a relationship, the Three of Swords can talk about breakup. And the central card here, which is the reverse Five of Swords. So even in its upright position, the Five of Swords talks about like conflicting with someone else over something. But the kind of sort of victory that comes with the Five of Swords, even if you are the one that has emerged victorious, it still doesn't feel like a victory, if you know what I mean. It's still, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of regret, and in general, a feeling of the conflict being like unnecessary, almost, and of having lost more than you have probably won. Maybe the conflict was, and I'm talking about like more towards the reversals, sorry, the upright meaning of the card, because in reversals, with this card especially, it's more or less the same feelings, but they are sort of amplified, so to speak. So there might be a lot of regret. It's possible that like for one of you or for both of you, your egos might have clashed, and you might be slowly coming to the realization that, you know, like it's just a feeling of having lost more rather than having gained anything from the conflict, is what I'm trying to say. The Four of Cups can talk about couple of things. So like I said, whether it's in a relationship setting or otherwise, the Four of Cups can first of all talk about rejection. So it is possible that you might be rejected by your person, the person on your mind, or maybe you rejected them, and this can also denote like a state of disinterest and boredom, like completely having lost that spark, or somewhat feeling disinterested in newer things maybe, or maybe, you know, like your emotions, because Cups is a suit of emotions in the tarot, and it's possible that, you know, your emotions are trying to communicate with you, and the clarity that you are seeking at this time might be right in front of you, but you might not be able to see it because being in the state of like say the Three of Swords combined with the Nine of Swords energy here, and also with the reversed Five of Swords. With the Nine of Swords, it's also possible that you're like dwelling a lot on the past and everything that went down between the two of you, or any kind of loss that you have incurred as a result of something happening, like some conflict, some kind of like clash of ideas, thoughts, motivations, having resulted in like leaving you feeling like you have lost more in the so-called like conflict. But there's one thing that I would like to say about this spread, is that a change in perspective is coming, okay? And I see that, and I say that, or see that in the Hanged Man card. Usually the Hanged Man card represents a state of being stuck in a limbo. But what really draws my attention is the halo of light around the Hanged Man's head, and which tells me that there is some wisdom that you're gonna gain in order to like look at things differently, look at everything that happened in a different sort of a way, different perspective, a more enlightened perspective. so to speak. So even though right now it might feel like you're stuck in this place where you're dealing with a lot of difficult emotions, there will be like some sort of shift in perspective which is coming your way, okay? And a quick note about the card that you chose, which is drawing my attention now, the Hierophant. And by the way, the clear quartz crystal, is all about like seeking clarity, and it's a stone or a crystal that is known to promote that kind of clarity in situations. So maybe things are unclear right now, maybe like you're not able to see because of the state of mind that you're in, but the Hierophant, this also represents like seeking some kind of guidance, especially in the context of this spread and as I see it, and trying to get answers there. So maybe you are seeking in some kind of counsel, could be like talking to a mentor, a friend, could also represent like a professional, a mental health professional, seeking some kind of guidance, maybe spiritual guidance, maybe watching this tarot reading is all a part of that attempt. I don't know, and I sincerely hope that it's useful for you. But what I see here is that you're going to unravel something in terms of like new answers, new perspectives. And right now, it might seem impossible, and it might almost seem like a very like fantastical notion that you will be able to get over this pain. But keep in mind, one of the things about Three of Swords is that the kind of pain that it talks about, the kind of challenge it talks about, is always something that is going to heal in the near future. This is not like, even though the image is pretty stark, it's like three swords piercing a heart, the heart is still beating, it's still alive. So it's not really going to take away the spark that from your life, or like leave you permanently in this like stressed out state of mind. This is the kind of pain, like I said, or heartache that promises a gradual but certain solution at the end. And your solution, particularly in this situation, whatever may be the context that you're asking this in, your particular solution is going to come from a radical shift in the way you are viewing this situation. Okay, as I said, there might be a lot of dwelling on the past, there might be a lot of them dwelling on things that have gone wrong, and there's something that is really going to open up this other door or bring in a fresh new perspective that's going to feel like, this is what I wanted to see, like this is what I needed to hear or know or understand. Okay, and usually because of the yellow halo that I see around the hangman's head, usually this kind of change or shift in perspective, and therefore a shift in our feelings towards that situation, they come from a elevated state of consciousness. Okay, so I would say, like, whatever guidance you are getting, keep pursuing that. If you are planning to do that, or if you have already done that, that's great. But if you're planning to do that, go ahead and get some guidance, get somebody else's perspective on this thing. Like, start talking about the things that are stressing you out, that are worrying you, that are keeping you up at night. Okay, and just a different perspective on the situation to free yourself of this reversed Five of Swords feeling that this card typically indicates. Okay, so yeah, the answer is yes, but right now it's a difficult situation. I acknowledge that. I see that in the cards, and I hope that you find the patience and the courage to pursue an solution, an outcome, and just like freedom from these difficult feelings that are present right now within your energy, or in the energy of the circumstance that you might be dealing in. There is different way of looking at things, definitely, and find that perspective and allow yourself the freedom to get out of this. And I know that it's really coming. So yeah, that is all I have for you, pile 5. Let me know in the comments below if this is the pile that you chose, and if the reading resonated, if it helped. I certainly hope that this was useful. Thank you once again for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.